Are we rolling? Are we rolling?
We are rolling. Okay, guys, whenever you're ready.
All right.
I am.
Okay. As an Artemis astronaut, will you be on Artemis too?
You know, it's too early to say, and I think it's important though. One of the things you've maybe heard the chief say recently is that all astronauts now are Artemis astronauts, right? We're all flying on the space station. We're all eligible to fly in our commercial crew program. And so that means everybody's also eligible to fly Artemis. And so, you know, our office is a bunch of great people who, our job essentially is to make the chief's job difficult, because he has to then pick a few of us to go and fly this mission. But it's great that, you know, our office is a bunch of folks who could go and make the mission successful. So I don't know. I have no idea where I'm going to be, but wherever I'm at, I'm going to be happy for that crew.
NASA will make its choice late 22,
maybe.
I guess.
Early 2023.
There was a statement about that.
Yeah.
Do you know how is the process? Because during the Apollo era, it was Dick Slayton and Alan Shepard who chose. And now, how does it work for the segment?
Very similar. Very similar. Deke Slayton was the chief of the astronaut office, or he actually had another position. But so those same folks are in place, and our chief now is Reed Weissman, the one you heard say that all astronauts are Artemis astronauts. And so he will make a suggestion, and if management approves it, then that'll be your group. But it'll be the end of this year, maybe early next year, right? So here's the thing. First things first. Let's get Artemis 1 off the pad. And most important, back on Earth safely, right? Because the real test point of this mission is that heat shield. So we've got to get that heat shield in the atmosphere going Mach 32. And once that thing gets slowed down, those parachutes got to come out. There's 11 parachutes that all have to function really precisely. And if that goes well, then we could put crew in the next one, and then we can start the clock for Artemis 2.
There was already a test flight in 2014. So why is it so critical today?
Oh, great question. So the test flight you're talking about is Exploration Flight Test 1, EFT-1, and this mission used to be called EM-1 before it got named Artemis 1. And so, but the EFT vehicle was very different than this Orion capsule, and it was a heat shield test as well. And even though the chemistry of the heat shield is very similar, the way they integrate it and they manufacture the tiles, the pieces of Avcoat that go on the bottom of the Orion, that design proved to not be great, and it was also very difficult to make, so that changed to this heat shield design. The other big difference between that vehicle, well, there are lots of differences, but the other thing about that trajectory, that vehicle orbited the Earth and then kind of went up to a high Earth altitude and then into the atmosphere. This vehicle is going to go to the moon and then go beyond the moon and then come back going, like I said, Mach 32. That's we're about, from here we're about 4 miles to the launch pad. That thing is going to be going to the launch pad and back every second. It's about 7 miles a second. That's how fast it's going when it hits the air and starts to heat up. So we are going to hit the atmosphere going really fast to stress that heat shield. A lot more energy that this heat shield has to dissipate.
Thank you. Let's talk about the capsule. How it's inside the crew module of Orion. What's different with the Apollo command module, or is it more similar than the SpaceX one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really wish I knew more about the Apollo command module. I don't know how the inside compares.
There was a bunch
because I've never been in one. I've seen movies, but you know, I don't. So I would say this, you know, modern manufacturing, modern software. So it's obviously got the benefits of like the state of the practice, right? On the outside, the outer mold line looks the same. Yeah. It's roughly the same size, roughly the same mass, but you got new technology to make them. How does it compare to a Dragon, say? We've been building this thing for a long time. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of years that have gone into this, whereas the Dragon is a much newer vehicle. And so also, again, the benefits of modern technology. It's a much more sleek vehicle, the Dragon. Now, I'm a little biased, you know, having fun one of those, but they look very different on the inside. The touch screens, there's not a lot of buttons and switches, whereas this one is, you can tell it was made by the government. Lots of buttons and switches.
Okay. During the Apollo missions, there was an astronaut staying inside the command module while the others were on the moon. Will it be the same? Will you need to stay someone stay inside while the others are on the surface, or can you leave the the capsule
Yeah.
alone?
That's a great question. So you generally won't leave the capsule alone. So, well, you got to maybe understand a little bit about the Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 profiles, and then what Artemis 4 and beyond might look like.
Yeah.
So as of right now, there's no gateway. We're going to launch a space station to the moon.
Artemis 3, there will not gateway.
So when there's gateway, you dock Orion to gateway, and Orion can stay docked to gateway. Without gateway, so we're planning for Artemis 3 that Orion and the lunar lander will dock together.
Yeah.
And if Orion docks to the lunar lander, you have 2 of those 4 crew members. It'll be 4 people in Orion. 2 of them will go into the lunar lander. And so once they leave lunar orbit to go to the surface, 2 people will be in Orion, 2 people will be in the lunar lander, and they will go to the surface for about 6.5 days, for a week. Okay. And so those folks that are in Orion will continue to orbit the moon, and then that group will launch off the lunar surface and join them back in lunar orbit. So that's what we will do for Artemis 3, at least as of right now. Once there's a gateway, that changes. Both of them dock to gateway, and the crew will transfer that way.
Sure. And to go to the moon, you need a human landing system, of course.
Of course.
And I know you are involved in the development of this lunar module.
I was more involved a few months ago. I've gone to a different job, but I still pay attention to what they're doing,
So my question is, can you give us a glimpse of how it's inside the future Starship? Because us journalists, we only see the outside of this mighty rocket.
Yeah, there's a reason.
What's inside?
There's a reason you only see the outside. Because one of the reasons why I had a lot of work to do for that program was there's a lot of work to do to develop the inside. And so, I don't want to get out in front of that team. There's a lot of work going on, and they're doing a lot of great development things. But they are working very hard to develop the interface, the human-machine interface of that vehicle. Where the windows are going to be, where the sleeping pods, where the waste management system is going to be, and all that is being worked now. But there's a reason you see a lot of the outside, because a lot of the design effort went into that part. And to their credit, they have a huge test in front of them. This is our big test. Artemis 1 is our big test to make sure we have a moon program at all. And SpaceX is working very hard to do their orbital flight test, because that's a very key milestone for them to have a moon program at all. And so they've got to get one that's got to go about 80% around the Earth, and that test enables them to then launch starships to support eventually going to the moon with the lunar lander. So first things first, they've got to have a rocket and a spacecraft that can fly before they can have an inside where we can eat our breakfast in space and go to the bathroom and eventually fly it to the surface of the moon.
Is it going to be short to 2025 for the Starship? Because it's very short for a human crewed vehicle.
Like I said, what happens on Monday is going to probably have more to do with that than anything that I say now. So I don't like to talk dates. I'm going to be here when we get there, and I'm going to stick around until we get that mission done. But right now, we got all eyes on this. Artemis 1 is the focus. That's the star of the show, literally. And when we get that thing back in about 43 days, then we can talk some more about what's going to happen later. But, that's the plan right now, and it's always nice to have a plan to deviate from, because we're flexible. But right now, Artemis 1 is supposed to launch tomorrow, and that's as many dates as I want to talk about.
Thank you. Just a little more question. Do you know if there is a camera inside our Orion, in the seat, in front of a seat of an astronaut, to take picture like an astronaut?
Oh, of the astronauts? I know there are cameras pointing at the displays.
To see, for example, an Earthrise above the lunar horizon, like.
Oh, there are plenty of cameras. There's over a dozen cameras involved in this, so you'll see plenty of pictures. There will be lots of great footage. Of this orbit, and once it goes to the moon, you'll get great views inside and outside of Orion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe it's 14 cameras.
14 cameras.
Yeah, something like that.
Inside and outside.
Inside and out. Yeah.
So, some of them are on the solar panel.
Yes. Yeah.
Fine.
Great shots.
Thank you very much.
Enough.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good.